this evening, very briefly, I want to speak on functioning from rest. Those of you that were around in the morning, you saw the way we established that grace is not just a fix, but grace is the preference and the nature of God. God prefers grace to any other thing. Somebody say, oh, what is the opposite of grace? Performance, effort. You know, there are lives that are effort and performance oriented. People that focus so much on what they are doing. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. Grace does not lead you to inactivity. But rather, grace produces productivity. So grace is not about, doing nothing. Say, oh, I'm under grace. No, that's not grace. You're under laziness. There's a difference between functioning from rest and living a lazy life. That's not what we're talking about. So tonight, very briefly, I want to show you the power of rest, how powerful rest is. You know, there was a generation, according to Hebrews chapter 4 verse 3, that the Bible says they angered God. God was provoked. And he was not provoked because of their immorality. He was provoked. Why? Because they will not receive his rest. The hardness of their hearts made it difficult for them to embrace God's rest. So it was a generation that prioritized their labor over God's favor. I hope I'm not talking to anybody who's like that here. Who has so much confidence in what he does. And don't get me wrong, you should do something tangible with your hands. If you know me very well, you know there's nothing lazy about my life. Some of you that were around in the morning, you think I'm having my second session today. This is my third session. After I finish with you, I still went to minister somewhere else. So this is the third time I'm ministering today. In fact, my wife was feeling for me. When she communicated with me, she said, look, say yes, I'm just lying down. And here I'm high again, preaching like I've been resting all day. So nobody's talking about inactivity. Nobody is talking about being slack. Nobody is talking about just, what do you call it, coasting, just coast. I'm just rest. That's not rest. In fact, that kind of a rest should be arrested. It's a dangerous rest that can keep you in perpetual poverty. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of arms. Then what? Poverty invades you, invades your space, messes you up. So when we're talking about functioning from rest, we're not talking about shutting down and not doing anything. But we're talking about coming to a place that what Jesus did is so real to you that you are elevating what Jesus has done over what you need to do. So as a result of that, his favor is prioritized over your labor. You apply yourself, but you are not thinking that you will excel because you apply yourself. The reason why you will excel is because you are helped. Who are the people that helped under the sound of my voice? Lift up your two hands and shout, I'm here. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 verse 11 says the race is not for the swift. The battle is not for the strong. Listen, there are people that have more skills, more strength. They apply themselves much more than you have ever done in your life. And yet, their result is not close to you. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. They look at you and they are coming to you every time and say, what are you doing differently? I function from the rest of God. I rest in what he finished. So before I do anything, the springboard, the starting point is the fact that he finished it. So I live like he finished life. I live, turn to your neighbor, say, I live like Jesus has finished it. In other words, there's no report that can displace me from my rest. I'm like Jesus, who was aware there was a storm, and yet he was found in the inner part of the boat, pacing. Come on, talk to me. Worried. Panicking. What was he doing there? Sleeping. So the question is, why would somebody sleep in a storm? Because he knows that your authority is tied to your sleep. The moment you lose your rest, you lose the rest. Oh my God. The key to having the rest is learning to rest. I rest. Somebody shout, I rest. Now, I'm not just resting. The finished work of Christ is the basis of my rest. I'm so conscious of what Jesus did. There's nothing you are dealing with that his finished work does not cover. You know, we have a way of presenting our problems. Pastor, what I'm dealing with. Now listen, there's no special affliction. There's only specialized ignorance. You make it look like what you're dealing with, nobody on earth has ever dealt with it. Jesus dealt with it. He carried everything you will ever need to carry. On that cross, he covered the whole syllabus of your pain and affliction. So what are you dealing with that you can't see Jesus dealing with it? Because if you can really see Jesus dealing with it over 2,000 years ago, then there's nothing to deal with. You will just stare it in the face and say, why are you laughing? Because really, it was dealt with. I'm not fighting to rest. I'm fighting from rest. There was a reason why the Lord said unto my Lord, sit down. Now turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, sit down. I don't know who I'm talking to. You are all over the place. What am I going to do? I'm going to sit down. Matthew chapter 14 verse 19. 5,000 men needed to be fed. What did Jesus do? He commanded them to what? Sit. Matthew chapter 15. 4,000 men needed to be fed. He commanded them to what? Sit. Now turn to your neighbor and say, I command you. Come on, use my authority. I give it to you. Say, I command you. By the authority given to me by the apostle of the house. See. Come on, get on your feet and tell at least 7 people, sit, sit, sit. It's a command. It's not a suggestion. Sit. 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 So maybe seated. Stop making up. You know, I was going to say stop dressing your problem. But some people have passed dressing their problem. They're in the makeup territory. They have dressed their problem a long time ago. Now it's makeup. They wake up every morning and say, oh yeah, come. Let me make you up. This is the foundation. Listen, now listen, anything you meditate on, grow. If you choose what you are dealing with as your meditation source, that thing will multiply. But when you learn to sit, your provision will meet you where you are seated. God can't feed you when you are standing. Remember, a new creation was born seated. He died, he resurrected, he ascended, then he sat down. And by the time you were being born, you were born in his seat. Don't you say you were born seated? So that is your Makriala Kasa. That's how you are. You know. That's why you are. What's the question? What's the word? You are designed to function. You are designed to function seated. I love what Psalm 2 says. Why do the heathen reign? Yet the people imagine anything. The kings of the earth set themselves against the Lord and his anointed. Let us cast their crowns and break their bands. But he that sit. Some of you think God was going to lose his mind when Obi did not win. That's a jab. I hope you take it well. When people started burning their passport, I hope you did not burn yours. We already have a redeemer. So he said, Pastor, they will come after you. No worry. But when is the amount of this country? And for Jesus, not for any political party. Are you listening to me? When you put your future in the hands of a man, you stand to be disappointed. No man has that capacity. Even maybe it was God protecting the man by allowing him not to win. Because you would have killed him. The expectation. God told me a while ago, he said, New Nigeria is a child of the spirits. And we are trying to devise our natural pathway. This is the way we bat it. Leave it to God. You just stay in your department, pray. And let God bat what he wants to do. Are you listening to me? He that seated in heaven shall what? Laugh. So you sit. That's how you function. You sit and laugh. Listen, I wish I could tell you that everything about my life is 100% right now. Now, of course, everything about my life is 100% based on what Jesus did. But based on what has manifested, there are things that are not 100%. There's still an amount of money. A transaction that was made. The first week when I got to Nigeria, quite some amount of money. The company that was sent to said they can't find it. The bank said they have released it. But guess, in fact, before I left, I still checked it. The bank said they have released it. So I don't know where it's happening. But listen and gentlemen, is it not money? My God is not rich in dollars. He's not rich in pounds sterling. He's rich in mercy. What is? It's not a lot of money. It's just like about $10,000. And please, if you say, that's your problem. Any little thing, you bring out your mind calculator, you times 700. And please, I understand you. I've lived in America for 24 years. I know people that have lived in America long enough they should have forgotten the conversion rate. But they still live in the conversion rate. Everything in fact, before they give offering Sunday, they convert it. Listen, do you know there's a way you can get visa and your mind refuses the visa? So your body travels, but your mind is still in the village. And in every nation, there is enough village association to maintain your village minds. I remember several years ago, I was in UK, and I had something to do in Peckham. If you have ever been to Peckham before, Peckham, you would think you are in a Saleko. This was like 15 years ago. I saw a young guy with, there's this camp they call Abetiaja in Peckham. And he was walking as if it was his father's house. I'm like, Kilo Day. This is UK. Walked into a store. And then they say, Iyarisi, you missed that party. Party you doing. And I looked, I was like, where am I? Am I in Ibadan? Is this Molete? What's going on? So you can get visa and your mind refuses the visa. And do we have enough village people wherever you are going to maintain your village mind? And there are people, they have not left Abuja, but they are already global. There was a young man I had to work with during the pandemic. His problem was not brilliance. The young man is brilliant. He has ideas. Do you know his only problem? His mind. His mind, although he lived in Chicago, his mind was still in Lageri, Ife. So I sat with him. And I was brushing his mind. He will come around me. And I would just throw a number intentionally. I said, oh yeah, I just signed a contract. $70,000. I said, it's only 70,000. I said, put only behind it. Initially, we were like, only. It was tough. Lageri mind. It's not easy. Born and bred in Ife. Brilliant job. First class. In fact, his result in Bangkok till today, nobody has broken the record. Is that brilliant? But his mind was still Lageri. So for about a year, I was working on his mind. There's a renewal of the mind by the scripture. But there's also a renewal by association. So now the greatest miracle God can do for some of us is to put some people in our space. They don't need to give you money. They just need to engage you in conversation. The other day I was talking and, there was this $50,000 thing. I'd even forgotten about it. You need to be talking to people that forget about 50,000. Oh my God, is somebody listening to me? Say, I'd even forget about it and, he just reminded me. I said, oh, that's true. It's 50,000. Oh, please, if you don't mind, just put in my account. You need people that will talk like that around you. Not people that say, even my 50 naira change, I collected it all. powerful as your redemption is, if you don't raise your mind to the level of your recreated human spirit, what Jesus died for will not manifest as manifestation. So I brushed his mind. His mind is well brushed now. If you see this young man, I still saw him on Instagram before this afternoon. He was talking about what he has done in his business, and he was throwing figures. I'm like, you were. I knew his first car I gave him 3 years ago. But on this trip, he was the one, because he's part of my protocol team. So he drops me every time I'm traveling. He still dropped me in his car, not official car, his own car. You want to know the car he uses now? G-Wagon. And that's one of his several cars. His mind just needed to pew. Your mind must catch up with your prophecy. Because an unrenewed mind which will be in the way of the fulfillment of your prophecy. So God will put some people in your space just to jack up your mind. You start talking, the other day, we went to Singapore just for a weekend. Don't run away. Stay. Say, me. I wasn't raised that way. God wants to re-raise you. Because where God is taking you to, that village mindset is not going to work. Your Father is rich in mercy. What is dollar? What is pounds? So why all this conversion? Your Father does not even deal in that currency. His exchange is in mercy. God, who is rich in mercy. Dollar is a lower currency. Pound sterling is a substandard currency. It deals in a higher. You put mercy besides dollar. Oh, no way, no. Don't you never say, my Father deals in mercy. What is dollar? What is pound sterling? Mindset. I'm serious. There's one of my sons that I'm still working on. So he told me 2 days ago, he said, I'm going to UK. I laughed. And he knew the reason why I laughed. Because of some interesting connection flights. Here, Morocco, Turkey, Tanzania. You are going to UK. Where do you have to do 80 hours? You are going to UK, you first of all go to Qatar. God punish poverty. He said, Daddy, it's not that bad though. It's not that bad. It's bad. And by the way, the money you think you are trying to save, you're losing. Loyalty. When you stay loyal to an airline, ladies and gentlemen, for example, my daughter flew with me here. I didn't have to pay first class for her. I bought regular ticket, but because I've been loyal, it's just a phone call. Use my points to upgrade her. But you are doing prostitution of airline from Morocco to Tanzania to. Are you a tourist? Are you a tourist? Like go anywhere, go everywhere. Where God has not sent you, you are just flying there. I say Morocco. Some interesting, and there are some airports. Are you like, am I in Benin? Sorry if you are from Benin. There are some airports, they look like the backyard of somebody's house. I'm like, so I looked at him and said, which one this time around? I said, Daddy, I've improved. He said, which one are you using? I said, yeah, Rwanda. I said, Rwanda. You He said, I have this app. It just searches for cheap flights all over the world. Come in. Why are you searching for cheap flights all over the world? There's a direct flight from Abuja to London, from Lagos to London. Why do you have to go to Rwanda, Kigali? What has Kigali got to do with United Kingdom? And I'll be hanging around the airports without no lounge. God punish poverty. Mindset. Because at the end of the day, it's not the stress. It's more than the money you are saving. There's a reason why they call it business class. It's for people. Come on, are you doing business? This is your class. Say, is it not the same place we are going? Somebody will pay 3 million. 3 million. Is it not just 7 hours flight? I know. I will just stay in my corner and cross my leg. May the Lord deliver you. Do you know, if I can preach a message on the people you meet when you fly first class. There's no conversation going on in economy class. Everybody is too stressed to converse. In fact, around my morning, hey, put your sins very well, oh. But you know, you come to the other class, meaningful conversation. I see I had one yesterday. What do you do? Is it not? Just close your eyes, you will get there. Mindsets. Mindsets. So getting a visa does. You can live in. I know people that live in Nigeria, but their mindset is global and rich. They can really they can live anywhere in the world. They will fit in because their mind has been upgraded. So it's not let me get the visa. You can get the visa, and your mind refuses the visa. Say no. May your mind, may he not refuse your future. Anger susoboko akataya. Anger dasuzakataya. Now lay your hands on your mind. Say, in the name of Jesus. Get on your feet. This is a serious one. Lay your hands on your head. Say, mind. You can do it CAC way. It's a mind. I command you in the name of Jesus. Upgrade. You will not run away from good things. You will not rebel excellence. You will not call good things too expensive. Somebody shout one more time. Say, man, upgrade. See it. You know, this should be like 30 years ago before the Lord delivered me fully. I can understand that young man because I used to have all those days. There were no apps, they were websites, cheap website. Cheap. For example, there's an airline in America called Spirit Airline. Jesus, that's the most dangerous airline. I remember when my friend Bishop Tony Marioke came around. I don't know who booked the flight for them. It was not me. It was not me. It was the people they were going to preach for in Boston. So they booked Spirit Airline to take them from Chicago to Boston. So they go to the airport. They say there's no flight. It's a very, very spiritual airline. They can do anything. Even from their name. When an airline says we are what? Spirits. I remember a few years ago I had a guest minister who came to sing at Summer Blast. So I'm like, what happened? You missed your flight. He said, Daddy, don't let us go there. I said, what happened? He said, spirit left before the destiny. Have you heard that before? Maybe a flight that's supposed to leave at 4:30. A mini alone called Johnny. So we got there and say, one happened to one of my sons recently. In fact, you know him. Great man, you know him, Deoye. It was Deoye. And interesting enough, I still preach about spirits. A few weeks. You know some people. I hope he's watching this message. So, anyway, he was supposed to go to be somebody's best man in Houston. So he booked Spirit Airline. He had his confirmation reservation. He got to the counter to check in. He said, you are not on this flight. True life story. As they were searching for him, till that flight left, they were searching for him. Spirit. So he had to apparently a spirit has taken his name. Like somebody said in church in Chicago, he said, it became me. A spirit has taken his name from the manifesto. I'm serious. Can you imagine? Have you ever heard that I have a boarding pass that says, this is my confirmation number, this is my seat number? They say, it's not on the system. So it was why if I said his wife blamed, he said, Pastor told us 2 weeks ago, spirit is dangerous. They call them budget hairline. And you know, they have things they write in fine prints. One of it is that if for any reason the flight is cancelled, we are not under any obligation to refund you or to reschedule you. A missed flight is missed forever. So I told my people, I said, please, I know you are spirit. God is a spirit and you are spirit, but stay away from what? Spirit hairline. So, yeah, back to my story. I hope I'm not boring anybody. Back to my story. This should be like 13 years or thereabout, 13 to 15 years ago. I was coming to Nigeria. You don't want to know the airline booked from Chicago. Should I tell you? Air India. You know, there's a saying in Yoruba that says, what the eyes is looking for, that we find. So, because, you know those websites, they will be searching for cheap. So he found one for me from Chicago to London. It was so cheap. It was like $340. Round trip. So I bought it. It was like I hit a jackpot. And I hit something. It was just that it was not a jackpot. When I entered that airplane, I'm like, Muti, one chance. The entertainment system not working. By the time I landed in Heathrow, I'd been anointed, decorated with curry. I was smelly. You would think I'm a cuckoo. Even Hilda is behind me. It was a baptism. They had baptized me with curry. So I sat down. I said, how did I get there? What has Air India got to do with coming to Nigeria? Cheap. Looking for cheap. So in fact, the money you think you are saving, at the end of the day, you might not be saving anything. You know how the word, and it's in Yoruba. Should I say it? Orimi koya. Zaka, get on your feet. It means I reject what? Suffering. Now, even if you are not Yoruba, you can just say it. Consider speaking in tongues. Say Orimi koya. I refuse to adapt. Just adapt to anything. Say it's okay. It's only 6 hours. No, I deserve the best. I'm a child of a king. I function from rest. I rule in life. I reign life. I speak as a prophet of God. In this season of rest, I declare the right people are coming into your space. What your mind could not capture until now, from now you begin to capture it with ease. I see God sending people into your space. It's like, can we be friends? Don't run away. Because they are speaking above you. In fact, some of them might not be saved. Yes. But God sent them to your life to upgrade your mind. And you will realize as your mind rises, even your faith will be happier. You know, I know people that study God's word, they speak God's word, but there's a problem. There's a barrier in their mind. The mind is capped with all the shoot up, yakata. The mind cannot pass a certain level. There's a stretching of the mind that is needed to walk in the fullness of your prophecy. The heart is the Lord and the fullness thereof. If it's on earth, as some people can afford it, mercy can afford it. Oh, you didn't hear me. Lakata. The earth is the Lord and what? The fullness thereof. It's not materialism. It's just knowing yourself. Makasatabala. Angry amber dosusuboku akataya. Mankata. I deserve the best. I live the best. I look the best. And I attract the best. It's not just affirmation, you know. Everybody now affirmation. It's confession. What is your affirmation? No. What is your confession? It's confession of the word. Not just positive. It's confession. And it's because we have a high priest of our confession. We're not just speaking to the atmosphere. Your words are tools for your high priest. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Can you shout, I function from rest? I dominate from rest. I live in ease. I rule from my seated position. Or a night. If there's anything that's been consistent with this conference, God just keep on messing up my notes. I have notes for every session. I end up preaching something totally different from what is in my notes. I have no idea that I will end up saying all these things. But peradventure, somebody was blessed in the process. Mind, rise up. Rise up to your prophecy level. Don't shy away from your future. Balaka sataba. Manda kasutaba kata. Banta krianda beyeshotaba. This is a very apostolic message. Roko bakataya kataya. Breaking every barrier. Moving every limit. Thank you, Jesus. Jesus the Son.